All right, we're back. Another episode of Sad Powers Podcast. Today we got fellow comedian, friend of mine, AJ Bate.
Yo, what's up,
No,
buddy?
but
Thank you for having me, man.
yeah, no problem. I've been listening to your podcast with Jason. It's
Ah, man.
fucking sick. I like it, man.
Oh, man. Glad you like it, man. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me again, dude. Like, you got a sick background going on there, man.
Yeah, no problem. Well, it's normally having
You,
more like that. Yeah.
you got a sick background on it. Is that your cousin Deaf Mouse?
Wait, where? Like that?
Yeah, yeah, well, I just saw mouse ears, so I just that's
Right.
very easy to kind of connect the
It, it,
two.
it was his mom that painted it, but I don't know if it.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah. It's not
uh,
finished, but I like it like that. It's like she's never gonna finish it, but it's all good.
yeah, you should probably just hire like a professional artist to finish it for her. He can afford it.
Nah, it's cool. It's good like that. She's crazy like that with like I remember like a couple years ago we had like a huge bonfire where she just
Yeah.
burned like a bunch of her paintings because like if people don't buy them, she's just like fuck it, I'll just burn a bunch. And
Ye-
then she like posts a video on Twitter and like everyone cries about it. You know what I mean? It's weird people get like
Jesus.
so mad. It's like it's her art. She should be allowed to burn it if she wants, right?
Yeah, but people get it like people get so precious. It's so weird that I think painting and maybe sculpting are the only two that really get people like upset if it gets ruined.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
like comedy, music, whatever. Who gives a fuck? Who nobody cares about like sculpting or painting or like don't do that to even if it's ugly, like the worst thing ever. People are like it has potential. Like no, it doesn't.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
sucks.
Well, with like music and stuff, the original version's like always there that you can go back to,
Someone
right?
on
So
the cloud or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's if your painting is ruined, that's it. You're not gonna make the same thing again. You can't
yeah,
recapture it, right? Yeah,
exactly.
that's why it sucks.
But yeah, man, how you been? How you been doing with the whole COVID shit?
I I've been great, dude. Honestly, I have been like eating properly, and I've just been feeling great. I don't get to talk to people, which is awesome. Um, I've avoided comedy shows on Zoom like the plague.
Same.
I don't even like there's people that have been offering me to do them, and I don't even like politely say no. I just say aggressively like no. I like, just like get away
Yeah,
from I block them on Facebook if they do it. I just I just aggressively say no. I don't
yeah.
I'm not even polite about it. I just don't want to do any of it. But I'm happy now. But I not honestly, you know what? I haven't missed comedy for the first like 3 months of quarantine. 3 months of quarantine, like people were like, "Oh, I miss comedy." I'm like, I'm so happy. I'm like on vacation now. I don't get to do it. I don't get to worry about getting stage time. I don't have to worry about testing new material. Is it going to work or not?
Hmm.
I'm so happy. But then I started missing it after 3 months. I'm like, I realized that, oh, I don't have any. I haven't built a life outside of comedy, so I
Right.
fucked up there.
Yeah, it's like all your friends and shit are all comedians, right?
I don't have anything else if I don't have comedy. My life sucks without it. I've finished all the David Lynch movies. I've watched pretty much I watched like Russian movies. I've watched every weird movie. I finished them all. I finished them
Yeah.
all. So there was nothing left for me. So I just had to like, God damn, I really miss comedy. I need to go back.
So you
So
haven't done any live shows yet, or?
no, I've done actually like this weekend actually Friday and Saturday I had a show. The weekend for this month is like almost like booked up, so that's awesome.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, no, it's fun. I've been doing live shows, and they're like kind of I feel like it's different than doing comedy clubs. Like performing outside is I think it's slightly different than in comedy clubs. Because comedy
Oh, it's
clubs,
way different, bro. Like it's slightly is an
yeah, yeah,
understatement. Yeah.
100%, dude. Yeah, because like I think you're set up to succeed in comedy clubs, but outside you're
Mhm.
set up to fail. So you're just kind of like working against everything. Like if a kid stubs his toe next door, like everybody's gonna hear it in the show,
Mhm.
like before your punchline, it just kind of ruins everything. But it's a new challenge. But it's. I mean, it's just we gotta stop. We have to like stop whining about it and just really kind of just embrace it. That's what's gonna happen now.
Right, and like comedy clubs, like being inside and shit, is gonna be coming back pretty soon, anyways. Like Showtime's opening September 10th.
Hope so, man. It's just half capacity, and they only
Right.
sell like tables of 4, and they have some limitations, which is understandable because they have to make money and everything. But I just hope, like, I don't know if it's gonna be back to the way it was before all this, which I hope it does. But if
Right.
not, then I think comedy's not gonna be the same anymore.
Yeah, me too. I
Um,
feel like shit's like changed forever for everything even.
Yeah, man. We just, I mean, I hope we're wrong, but if we're not, then as comedians, we have to like start figuring out like different ways to do stuff, which is fine. I mean, like really nothing really lasts forever, right? So it's the only the people that keep whining about it and stuck in the past are the ones that they can't move on and they have a hard time advancing themselves.
Hmm.
So I think it's just important to like realize we hope things go back to the way they were, but if they're not, be ready for that too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like having that mentality, just trying to be positive and proactive instead
Hmm.
of just whining about it, because that doesn't help anything.
Yeah,
So
and you
what
can
about
like
you, man? Have you been doing any live shows?
no, I got one coming up on the 15th, the 14th and 15th. I'm doing a
Yeah, I
fat.
think we're doing that together.
Yeah, sick. Jason's on that too. Yeah, dope.
Yeah, dude, that's gonna be a sick one, man.
Yeah, so that'll be the first time come back, so I'm a little bit nervous about that. Um,
No.
and I haven't like wrote any new jokes or anything, so it'll probably be like the same shit that I've been doing.
Here's the thing,
Yeah.
dude. I'll say before you finish your thought, but just because you brought it up, that whole idea of like writing new jokes. A lot of comics are like, "Oh, if you haven't any new jokes this whole time, oh, you blah 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 blah." I have new jokes, but here's the thing about new jokes right now.
You can't test them
Imagine,
out. You don't even know if they're good, right?
well, not only that, but also first of all, imagine a body that you're trying to resuscitate, right?
Mm.
But like instead of using CPR, which is something that you've tested and it's proven to be working, instead of
Mhm.
that, you're like, oh, let's try something new, like to resuscitate this
Right,
body that's almost
right,
gonna
yeah, yeah.
die. You're fucking stupid. People haven't listened to comedy in 5 months, and the first time they come back, they hear your shitty new unproven material. You should be
Mhm.
doing the material that your old stuff that works, and then once we get into the groove of comedy, then try your new stuff that your shitty COVID jokes that you've written the whole time.
Yeah,
But try new material right off the bat. I feel like it's just very selfish of comics that do that. It's like it's you have to get people back in the mood of comedy, then do your horrible
yeah.
fucking I don't
That's
know.
actually a really good point. I feel like, and it's like for people that like want to get back to watching comedy, you don't want to like give them a bad taste in their mouth the first time.
No, of course,
Then maybe
of course.
they won't be. They're like, oh, maybe I don't like comedy as much as I think I do. You know?
Yeah, exactly, dude. It's exactly what it is. I'm not saying
Yeah.
don't write new jokes. I mean, like I
Mhm.
said, I have new jokes and I've sprinkled them once in a while. Like, but if I have a 5 minute set, I can only probably do maybe one new joke. I can't
Right.
do
Yeah.
all new jokes and fucking bomb for 5 minutes and then people
Yeah.
were like,
Yeah.
"Good shit. What happened? Like,
Yeah.
you thought these guys were funny. What happened?"
Hmm. How long have you been?
But yeah,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, like, how long you been doing comedy for?
I started in March 16th, 2016.
Damn, you know
So,
the exact date? That's sick, dude.
oh,
I
dude.
wish
Oh,
I wrote
dude.
it down. I was like, I didn't.
And I didn't even like proactively remember it. It
Hmm.
just for some reason it just stuck in my brain. It just stuck in my brain for some reason. I don't know why. But March 16, 2016, that was the first day I got on stage, and it was an open mic, and I waited. I got there at like 8 p.m.
Hmm.
because this really shows you how much I didn't know anything about comedy or the grind. The open mic starts at 8 p.m. and I showed at 8 p.m. because I thought that's how it
Yeah.
works. Not realizing you have to show up like fucking 4 hours before it even starts to write your name down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I showed up at 8 p.m. I was like, I came up to the host. I was like, hey, I was just wondering if I can, get a spot. I showed up. Was there a list? He's like, yeah, yeah, sure. And it's a list that like every page is like divided in half, and he like turned it to the other side, to the half, like way down on this
Oh my
side that I had
god.
turned it. So I was like, I don't know, 86 or something like that.
Do you remember
So
where it was? Like, where was this?
I was like fucking. It was. There's not enough numbers for it. I was just fucking way down, and I
Okay.
just well, like fucking like the dummy I was. I wrote my name. I was like, yeah, it's awesome. 1 a.m. and I'm still waiting for my spot, dude. It was horrendous. It almost. I got on stage at 2 a.m.
Wow, that's crazy.
So from 8 p.m. I only got at 2 a.m. And honestly, dude, it almost turned me off to comedy altogether. It almost did. It was so fucking scary. But I went up and I ate my balls because there's like two people left or something like that.
Yeah.
I just ate it so bad. And I kept eating it for like a month. A whole month I bombed. I just bombed until one time I did a new joke and it got a laugh. Out of the entire set, that one joke got one laugh,
Hmm.
and I was like, okay, this is good. This is different. People are actually laughing.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
never heard that before. That's great. And then just from there, I started slowly, people start laughing throughout the 5 minute set,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
slowly, but it started off with like one joke after a month, one joke, one laugh, one line in it, and I was like, all right, this is nice, this is good, and it just went from there. But it's I don't know, it's weird, man. I just think about it, I'm like, man, as much as I love comedy, this is just torture. Like, I don't know why any of us really do this. This is not.
Yeah, you gotta really love it. It is crazy because like the
You have
amount of
to.
money people put in, like you gotta like pay your own gas to like do 5 minutes at like
Oh
some
yeah.
place like 2 hours away sometimes. And it's like why did I
Yeah.
even like I remember like I drove like in a blizzard one time to Brantford from Niagara
Oh dude.
Falls. So it's like 2 hours
It's the
just for like
stupidest
five
thing you
minutes
can
of
do.
starving artists. Like even if the place was packed, you could fit maybe like 20 people in there.
Yeah, I know. It's the stupidest things, or like driving to Barrie. Like, just if I'm driving to Barrie, I just like call my family. I'm like, hey, I love you guys. I might not see you again, just because like
Yeah.
driving up there on that highway in the blizzard is like a death sentence, man. And
Mhm.
there's always construction happening, but you always drive up for like you said, maybe, woo, if it's a hot night, maybe you'll get like a free drink and like a half a pound of wings,
Yeah, yeah.
and you hope that the comics that you drove up there are like just really generous enough to give you gas money.
Yeah,
Other
yeah.
than that, that's only you're driving, and like people in Barrie depends on the mood. While they've like crowds in Barrie are weird. Like, there have been shows where I've fucking killed and they're great,
Mhm.
but other shows where people are like, why is this thing talking? Shut up. Like, they're just so annoyed by my existence, and it depends on, like, they're fucking so moody. It's like, you fucking cunts. I'm sorry, can we swear on this? I don't know. I
Yeah,
swore.
dude, say whatever you
Okay,
want.
sure.
It's
So
why
I was
so
like,
many people ask that. It's like, yeah, yeah, sir, go ahead. Go
yeah, no,
on.
because I like I edit our podcast, and there have been a few times where one of us would like say something, or like, oh,
Mhm.
you shouldn't have said that. So, but I have to go in and edit it and bleep it
Oh
out and
shit.
stuff like that. So, the less you work for the editor, the
I'm
better,
not
I
editing
guess.
shit, bro. I just post it raw. I'm
Good,
too lazy.
good,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
good, good. I'm just making sure. That's all.
Yeah.
No, man, it's. What about you? When did you start, man?
I want to say like 4, maybe even 5 years ago now. But I don't even
Yeah.
know the exact date or anything. I wish I knew. And it was like kind of like the whole time I never really like put full effort into it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's I kind of like I didn't like really go out there and like go after shows. It's kind of like
Yeah.
people would just ask me to be on their show, and then like I kind of just ended up doing it like that. And like
Yeah.
for so long, I wasn't even like writing new jokes. Like I was just using like the same five forever. And then like I
Yeah.
finally like people would start like making fun of me even like for just like not for just doing like they're always like, oh, pepper grinder and shit like whenever they see me. So I was like, fuck, I gotta write some new stuff. So I started like doing new shit that was going.
Comics are mean like that, man.
Yeah,
Comics are
yeah,
really mean like that. They'll let you know. They'll let you know.
yeah. It was doing good for people that you like haven't seen it 10 times, but it's like comedians, like you just see the same ones, like it shows it like all
Oh,
the
here we
time,
go again,
obviously.
the pepper grind guy. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you want to be. You never want to have the nickname, the something guy. Like
yeah,
that's what you
yeah,
want to avoid.
exactly.
You don't want to be a guy about anything. Just
Yeah, I'm already like the ukulele guy too. It's like fuck, whatever.
too many nicknames. It's not good.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I was like doing some like new shit, and like trying to grind hard, and then all this like COVID shit happened. Like I did my first like headlining shit set was like the last show I did, I think.
That's great, dude. That's
Hmm.
fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, so
I just recently like started headlining on like not even that much, but like the one thing that I was actually gonna headline a show. So weird. I was gonna headline a show in London in March, early March, which obviously got canceled, right?
yeah, yeah.
But then the same guy, as soon as things started opening up again recently, the same guy asked me to headline his show again, but it was way too early into things opening up again, so he
Hmm.
couldn't sell any tickets, so he had to cancel it again. I'm like,
Oh fuck.
I'm just not gonna headline anything. I'm just gonna accept that
Yeah.
fact that it's not gonna
Don't
happen. I
look at
don't
it
want.
like that, bro. You're like,
No, I know, but it's almost like if there's a God, he's just looking at me. He's like,
you're not ready.
just really. It's like, no, I'm gonna let you wait a little bit. I'm gonna tease you a bit more,
um,
and it just.
how much time were you gonna do? Do you remember?
I was probably gonna be doing like 20 to 25 minutes and
Oh.
stuff like that. When it's weird, like, um, I'm a very, I'm very self-conscious about like how good the material is. So if you ask me right now, I believe that I have a good 15 minutes.
Hmm.
But if you ask me to do 25, that means I'm gonna bullshit for 10 more minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
But the thing is, which is why I was like, I'm reluctant to take headlining spots. But then there's honestly, to be honest, there's a lot of nice people and hosts and producers who are very kind to me and like always tell me that no, we don't care. We just want you to headline. We think you're
Hmm.
funny. They just give me that opportunity, which is awesome. And honestly, it's something that's really not common in comedy. So they kind of insist that I headline, which is really nice. It's nice to
Yeah,
see that
that's so
they want
dope.
you to headline, right?
Hmm.
Even though, but I always like to be honest about it. I'm like, hey, I can do 15, no problem. But if
Hmm.
you ask me for like 25, yeah, I mean, I'll fucking stretch it because I have to. I'm again, my back is against the corner. I'll do it, but it's just
Hmm.
not gonna be. It's not gonna be the best. And they're like, God, no, don't worry about it, whatever, you know. But so yeah, I think like 15 is definitely. But also at the same time, I feel like I should be not necessarily writing more, but I think I just should be brave enough because every time when I first got down 5 minutes, I was scared to do 10. And then once I got
Hmm.
10 down, I got scared to do 15. So
That's
I
a good
always
point,
have
actually. Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
so I always have a hard time pushing myself to that next thing because I'm just
Hmm.
scared. But what I don't realize, and this is all something we should realize, that well, you came up with the first five and the
Right.
10 and the 15. What makes you not be able to come up with 20 and 25, right? But
Hmm.
there's this fear, oh, it's too much time. But you got to realize that the goal is to be able to do an hour.
Hmm.
So if you're kind of scared to do 20 and 25, which is good to be scared because that means you care, right? But
Yeah.
at some point you have to like stop, put some WD-40 on your self-esteem and just kind of push through
Hmm.
it, right? And not try like stop yourself every
Yeah,
once in a
and
while.
like for me, I feel like it's good to me like put some of those jokes like on the back burner for a bit. Maybe some of the other comedians will forget about them, like the pepper grinder shit.
Yeah,
And like like try like still like do your old stuff that works good, and then like maybe like
of
sprinkle
course,
some new shit or try
of
switch
course, yeah,
it up. I don't know.
yeah.
Um,
I feel that when the way I find out if I'm gonna do the joke anymore or not is whether when I tell it how excited I am about it and how much I feel like it's still me. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Because like every year you change, right?
Yeah,
So
I
There's
feel like
like, yeah, go ahead.
oh yeah, I was just gonna say like I have like old jokes that were like they used to kill, and then like now when I say them, it's like I feel like they don't kill, and it's maybe because like I'm not excited about them
No, it's
in the
because
way
no,
like
it's
you're
it's
saying.
it's because of you. You don't
Hmm.
like them anymore. You don't like them
Yeah,
anymore. Yeah, well, but that's good though. That's not a
yeah.
bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It shows that your taste is getting better, and so that's how you come up with better jokes, right?
Right.
So that I think COVID is something that kind of made me not lazy, but brought me back to that fear. Because before COVID, there were a few jokes that I retired that now I'm bringing back because
Hmm.
I just I'm like kind of like scared to do like the new stuff or kind of like falling back to the old pattern. I mean, I'll have to force myself to bounce back. But there was a time where there were a bunch of jokes that they still kill, but I just don't like them anymore because
Hmm.
that's not who I am. I don't like kind of relate to them anymore. I don't think that way, anymore. So I think that's very important as a comic to pay attention to that instead of just, falling in the habit of just telling the jokes. You have to kind of be
Yeah.
conscious every time, every year, look back at your jokes and like, all right,
Hmm.
this works. This is not me anymore. So I have to write a better joke to fill that
Right.
gap.
And
And I
like
think that's, yeah.
yeah, and like the every like little tiny piece matters. I feel like the way you say it, or even just like one extra word can kind of like throw
Oh
everything
yeah.
off or like
Oh
make
yeah. Oh
the
yeah.
joke, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, dude. It's so weird. Like if you notice like most good comedians who are famous are usually comics who have a very good grasp of the English language.
Hmm.
So you just notice how many times they set examples in their punchline. Like usually 3 times you notice, or maybe if
Right. Sometimes they do it like over, but then it's like the meme of overdoing it, which is like
yeah,
a
well,
perception. Yeah.
it's like Chris Rock style, right? Like it's
Yeah,
just women can go down in life, so they can't. Women can't.
yeah.
Like we get it, Chris. Just come on. Like
Yeah, yeah, let's move on. Yeah,
I love you. You're funny,
yeah.
but come on, let's get it to it. Let's get
Yeah,
it. But that's like the style, right? Especially the way he talks about it. It's like when you're bringing up new concepts to people or new ideas for jokes that they've never heard, and you're trying to introduce them to them, you have to kind of like baby them into it, right? So you have to repeat it, so they're on track and they're focused on what you're saying. But and it's kind of part of like if you're doing kind of if you're very how do you not introverted, but like if you're internally like you're always like in your own head and like kind of think about how do I feel about this or whatever. If you're that kind of comic, then you're bringing in your perspective to people so they need to
Mhm.
understand you. Because
Right.
a lot of the times, one of the reasons why sometimes jokes fail is not because they're not funny, it's just because the comic didn't introduce them properly. And so
Hmm.
people all of a sudden just can't follow you anymore. They're like, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like comedy doesn't necessarily like have to be like relatable to everybody, but
No, not at all.
as
No.
long as like the comic like puts you in their shoes, like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
you can be like I've laughed at like comedians that's like they're nothing like me, but they just like put me
no.
in to where they and then I see shit through their perspective kind
I couldn't agree more. I hate comics that are like, comedy's about being relatable. No, it's not. It's
of.
not. Comedy's just about being funny. Don't fucking put
Yeah.
in your own fucking stupid thoughts into it. It's not about being relatable. It's not about being anything. It's just about being funny and interesting. I
And
think
kind
that's
of
what it is.
yourself in a way. Like I feel like you kind of
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
put yourself out there. Like
Well, the
I'm
only
sure
way to be.
there's people that can be funny with like being fake or whatever and just telling jokes. But I don't know, like the
Yeah,
comics I like, it's like it's them,
they're usually good actors. Those people
you know.
though, and
Right?
they
Yeah, yeah.
don't really evolve that much, anyways. And even if they do become a big thing, they're not mentioned among the names of comics that people care about.
Like the
So
legends. Yeah, 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 for sure.
yeah, exactly. Like they're just comics, big time comics that make a lot of money, but they just who gives a fuck about them? Nobody
Yeah,
respects them really. But the comics that are interesting and funny and really being themselves on like, here's how I think about this.
yeah. Hmm.
What do you guys think about? And they're like, whoa, I've never thought of it that way. This is a weird place I'm in right now, but I like it because it's
Hmm.
new. that's the thing. It's new, right?
Yeah.
I think I think that's what obviously to be that it takes years and years of doing comedy, right? But I think I try to be that, even when I
Hmm.
talk about like race and being from the Middle East, I don't like to approach it from like a hacky, well, my parents want me to get married. My parents are disappointed in me and stuff like that. It's like, no, they're not. That's not real.
Hmm.
That's not what my parents are like. My parents actually, they don't like that I'm doing comedy, but they're not like embarrassed of me or
Yeah.
anything like that. I mean, I have a good relationship with parents. So if I
Hmm.
say that, that's kind of just me being hacky and just being a typical relatable Arab. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
those people are. They're wacky and zany. So I try to like even when I talk about my heritage, try to kind of bring how I feel about it and how I'm experiencing it instead of just generalizing this vague,
Hmm.
lazy way of describing it,
Yeah, and like your
Um,
whole act isn't about that either. Like, you're just like you got the like a great bit about banana that I love.
yeah,
So it's just
yeah.
like
So
nothing to do with your heritage or anything. You're
no,
just
not at all. And that's the other thing. Like,
yeah.
yeah, no, I try to like be, like just how I feel about stuff in general, right?
Hmm.
And I try not to pinpoint myself too much, but that's also not good nowadays because you have to be a thing,
Yeah, yeah.
and I don't think I have a thing. So I think that's like one of the problems is that people just have a hard time pinpointing me. Like, oh, he's Arab, but he's not too Arab, right? He doesn't look too Arab. It's like, like I don't know if I told you the story before, but one time I was reached out. I reached. I got somebody sent me an email. They were like, "Hey, listen, there's like a Muslim university, not Muslim university. That's stupid. That makes sense. That's not a bad idea. That's such a bad idea. But, but there is like the Student Muslim Association, some university,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And the guy reached out and he was like, "Hey, you're one of them.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the gig, and it pays this much money?"
Mhm.
And it was, I mean, like it's not that much money, but for a comedian, it's like, woo, I'm gonna retire, baby. This is awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? So it's probably like $400 or something like that.
yeah.
So, but it was around that. So it was like, but it was like the most money I've ever gotten paid doing a
That's
gig,
wild. Yeah,
right?
I've only got $50 is the most I've gotten paid.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna Arab it up, baby. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'm selling out, and I don't give a shit. I don't care. So he linked me with like the organizer or whatever, and she reached out and she was like, "Hey, we heard about you. Could you please just at least send us like a clip of your stand up so we can just see what you're about?" Da, 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 da. Like, she goes like,
Mhm.
initial reaction, we like you, but we just want to see more. And this was, I think, it was like a year and a half, 2 years in. So I was like very green, right?
Mhm.
So I sent them the clip, and I got the classic. Um, do you have more Arab jokes? Can you do more Muslim jokes?
Fuck. That's
And I was like, God damn, dude. I'm like, it's bad enough that I'm just already agreeing to play to a crowd that's like me and like really
mhm.
pinpointing I'm already pinning myself down by doing this, but it's like, what do you say to that? Like, so I just was very much just like, you know what? This is all the stuff I have. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
I don't really do that kind of material.
As a
And then they
comedian,
went,
I don't want you to tell me what to joke about, Like that's kind of like offensive in a way, you know what I mean? To be like joke about this. Don't tell me what my
yeah,
content should be. Like, I don't know,
and
that's
also like, what do I write jokes for your place and like come up and do them like new jokes? Like, how
yeah,
do you
exactly.
approach? What do I do?
Mhm.
But what hurt more is that afterwards, without mentioning names, funny comic, but they hired them,
Mhm.
and they're very Arab and Muslim and stuff like that. And I was like, when I saw their name, I was like, yeah, that makes much more sense. That's
Right.
yeah,
Is
but
that even like what like they probably just wanted comedy, like the people that were actually at the show. It's not like they were there like looking for those types of jokes. It's like the people in charge, it's just that's what they
it's
wanted,
usually
you know?
always the organizers. It's usually always the organizers, and a lot of times when there's some gigs that I've done with other comedians who
Mhm.
afterwards the organizers would complain saying this is not what we expected, but the crowd in the moment were laughing. They're having a great time. It's just the
Mhm.
organizers. It wasn't the way that they wanted it to be. But you also have to understand, and this is something that a lot of comics we suffer from. It's like, yo, fuck them. What do they know? But you have to also understand that these people are in charge of something, and whatever flack is going to come because of that, it's going to be directed to them, not
Mhm.
us. Because we, at the end of the day, we just get paid and
Yeah.
go home. We never
Yeah,
get to see these
that's a good
people again.
point. It's like they're putting on a show. Like, what would you rather have? No show? Like, I mean, they're offering you a job. They're giving us opportunities. It's like it's
Yeah.
better than I'd
So
rather do the show.
if they want, yeah, exactly. So if they want a specific show, I think it's a bad attitude as a comic to be like, well, fuck them. They want me to be Arab, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, no, dude. Like they want to be safe because they have this organization that they probably answer to other people, and they have a
Mhm.
reputation, and they want the least amount of things to go wrong, so they don't get any backlash.
Yeah.
Because again, as a comic, I'm getting paid and then going home. I'm
Mhm.
never going to see any of these people, but the people that work there that are going to get in trouble, they work there. They're the ones that are going to have to live with that bullshit, not me. So, as comics, we get to be very arrogant a lot of the times and not understand that there's other human beings that we're dealing with on the other side, and
Yeah. True.
it's not just about us, and it's okay if people want you to be a specific comic. It's just up to you whether you just say yes or no. Really, if you take the gig, then you can't complain.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I
I
guess
talked a
you
lot.
kind of changed my mind there. Now rethinking it, it's like if there was like an ice cream store and they're like, "Here, we'll give you X amount of dollars to come make only jokes about ice cream." I think I would do it. I wouldn't be like, "Fuck you, don't tell me then." I would try to write some ice cream jokes. I don't fucking know. You
Why
know?
not?
Yeah.
Why not, man? Why not? I mean, and it's all about what you can take. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like for me, if I were to go to do that show and was like, yeah, no, I got more Arab jokes for you guys, whatever, and I didn't, but I went
Hmm.
on and I just did some hacky, whatever Arab bullshit, I don't think I wouldn't have felt as okay. But also at the same time, if I told them, yeah, I have Arab jokes, and then went there and just did whatever I wanted to, and
Hmm.
even if it worked, I still lied and I wasn't being honest, and I just wanted the gig, and that's not cool either.
Hmm.
So I was kind of like caught between like, you know what, I'd rather just not do it and get out of it. But that's what I wanted to do. But I would never fault a comic for saying, yeah, you know what, I'll do that and I'll prepare
Yeah.
exactly for the. At the end of the day, why would I, who are we to judge anybody? I don't know your circumstances. Maybe you really needed that money,
Hmm.
maybe you wanted to prove something to yourself that you can do it. Whatever your reasons are, I feel like it's just with comics we get so much caught up with like, this comic's doing this. It's like, no, just focus on yourself. How about you do, if you take care of you and do the comedy that you want to do, then that's what else is there to complain about? Why are you worried about what this comic does? Who cares if he, does the pepper joke a million times? It's not.
Yeah.
It's none of your business. It's none of your business. Fucking let him do whatever he wants.
That's hilarious. Yeah, callback, classic comedy
There you
trick.
go.
Yeah, yeah. Um, that's like one of the only like tricks that I really know and use is like callback. I don't know why that just like automatically makes people laugh. Oh, you said something that you said earlier. Hilarious, Also, like misdirection, I guess I use a lot too. It's like, oh, I didn't think you were
Well,
gonna say
because
that.
it's surprising, right? It's
Yeah, yeah,
surprise. Well, it's like, oh, I didn't see that coming, and then you just like kind of squeeze it in there. Or even sometimes, what it is that when you're building up for a callback, and people are like, oh my god, is he gonna say the word that I think he's gonna say? And then you say, it, you're like, oh, he
yeah.
said
It's a
it!
big
Oh
payoff.
my god! So that's kind of like it's part that and part
Mhm.
excitement. Like, oh, I thought of it too. Like he was said, I might be a comedian too, right? So
Yeah.
as an audience, they just get really excited about that stuff.
People love
So
that when
weird.
they're like, I've had that same exact thought about that thing you said. And it's like, sick.
Yeah,
That's
like,
kind of the point, right? Yeah.
yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. Or, oh, dude, it's the worst when like, when you're like when you say a word and then you go on with your joke and then you want to repeat that word again but you're building up for it, and then somebody in the audience like yells out that
I
word.
hate that so much, bro. That grinds my gears like more than anything. It says like I do songs and shit too. So like when someone does it during like the music, it's like, oh my god, I don't even say it. I like yell at them or something.
It's like, dude,
Sorry, that just like
I'm
triggered me. Even you like mentioning that, like I was like, fuck, okay, go on.
it's like, dude, like I'm building up for it, dummy. That's
Hmm.
you don't know how to build up for it. I do.
Yeah.
So how
And
about
they
you shut the
ruin like
fuck
the
up?
payoff. You would have got such a
Yeah,
good payoff.
exactly. If
They
you
say it,
let
they
me,
steal your laugh. Not as
yeah,
good, and it's like, don't you want
exactly.
the show to be better for everyone instead of you getting your like 5 seconds of attention?
I said the word that is hard,
Yeah,
but fucking retards. It's
yeah,
just so fucking infuriating sometimes.
yeah. Hmm.
But like the thing is with audiences with comics, they almost feel like there's a thing about making people laugh that they feel like you're closer to them than anybody else. Again, like if you're a musician or whatever, you play your music on stage and then you leave. But as a comic, you're making people laugh. So laughter makes people feel closer to each other. Like if you just meet somebody, let's say, in a group of friends, and you guys jive and you start making him laugh, even though you met each other, you're like, man, I really like this guy. We just
Yeah, for
met,
sure.
but we're laughing at each other. So
And
laughter
you're
brings
like part of the show in a way, right? Like with music, the audience
that.
isn't part of the show, but with
It's like
comics,
there's a
it's like, yeah,
layer. Yes,
yeah, yeah,
yes,
because the
yeah.
laughter is part of the show. Yeah.
So people feel like closer to you than you really want them to be. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But so they just feel like they have this freedom to come up to you and say weird things or just like
Hmm.
participate in the show. Like literally, there's so many times where I'm waiting for my turn to go on stage, and when I hear a heckler and I get close to them, I just want to hear what they say to the people on the table when they tell them to be quiet. And they're
Hmm.
like, "What? The comics want me to make the show better." I'm like, "No, we don't. We don't want you to make
No.
the show better. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
The show will go fine. At least, okay, if it's going bad, let me bomb with my own dignity. I don't want your help.
Yeah.
But if it's going great, you're ruining it. So I just stop what you're doing. Stop."
Man, I got so many crazy heckler stories, bro. Like fucking the one
You
and only
probably get
time.
heckled a lot because you do music, so it's probably
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. You probably get heckled a lot.
The one time, the only time I hosted actually, there's like a comedian on stage doing his thing, and then like this guy just goes up and starts like whispering into him, like talking to him like how he's at the bar, right? This like
What?
drunk idiot. It's like I was like, oh, I'm the host. I'm like supposed to like police this, so I had to like go up to him and be like, all right, come on, buddy, let's like go outside, have a cigarette. And then that guy just wouldn't stop talking to me. I was like, yo, I gotta go back on stage. Like, leave me the fuck alone. I don't want to say anything too fucked up because I don't want you to punch me in the face. You know what I mean? So I'm trying
Yeah,
to be polite
yeah,
and shit, but I just want to tell this guy to fuck off and like leave even. But I don't know. I'm like not confrontational, so maybe I'm not like the best
yeah,
host. You know?
yeah. But still, like but it's good on you that even though you felt like it was not something you can do, but you went ahead and did it anyways. You took
Mm.
responsibility, which is that's a
Well, I
good
had
sign.
to. I can't just let him like keep doing
No,
that.
but that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That's a
Mm.
credit to you. Like even though this is something that you don't usually do, but you ended up doing anyways. So that's credit to you for like taking responsibility no matter what. It's a
Mhm.
really good thing to have as a person. Some people will buckle under fear and just won't do anything, and then afterwards the show you're like, "What the fuck, dude? It was your job to help
Yeah.
out and like tell people to shut up, but you
I
didn't."
think
I hate it.
part of it
I
was
hate it.
maybe that I was saving somebody else. Maybe I wouldn't have been as good as if it was
Yeah.
happening to me. You know?
Hey man, yeah, good. You're selfless too. Look at you. What a fucking saint, huh? What a fucking Saint
Stop.
Sabbath. You're the sweetest boy in the world.
You don't feel like
Um,
that? It's easier to like defend someone else than yourself sometimes, or
yeah, no, it's very true. It's very true. But I'm starting to learn now more as I get older. Is I've started to like tolerate tolerate way less things as much as possible. Like if something even just a little bit upsets me,
hmm
whether somebody says something, I like to bring it up, but not in a very aggressive way like I used to when I was young. I would just lash out and just the whole thing would just be crazy and then me and the other person never talk to each other again.
I heard a
But as I
story on your podcast of you throwing a chair at somebody.
oh dude, when I was
So-
a kid,
yeah,
he was
yeah.
one of my best friends. He was bleeding And then he was like, "Do you want to still play?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, okay." He's bleeding everywhere. Well, that was stupid of me. That was really
It's a
stupid.
good
I was
story though. Yeah.
yeah, but I was lucky it ended up, well. Otherwise,
Yeah, yeah.
if I really seriously hurt him,
That's a good point.
but
Yeah.
I've started to learn how to control myself better. Like now, if somebody says something that upsets me, I approach them and be like, "Hey, listen, this thing really kind of bothered me, and I just want you to know this is how I feel about it. But
Hmm.
let me know if I'm wrong. Like,
Right.
I would love to hear what you think about it." And nine times out of 10, people respond to that. Like it, if somebody was like, "Well, fuck you," anyways, then that's probably a person you don't want to be around, anyways.
Right.
But 9 times out of 10, people will be like, "Oh shit, man, this is not what I meant, and I'm sorry, and this is not how you misunderstood me or whatever."
Hmm.
But I feel like there have been times where I approach people like, "Hey, this really upset me," and they're like, "You know what? I never really thought of it that way. Next time I'll make sure to not say that without thinking twice." And they're like, "All right, thank you. That's really all I wanted."
Yeah.
Is that so that the other person after me doesn't go through that, and you kind of watch what you say. So I think
Yeah,
it's
because like
good.
they didn't even realize, and then now that you pointed it
Yes.
out, it's like they won't do it again. You help people improve if they want to improve, right, on
You
themselves.
know, it's up to them,
Yeah.
but at least I won't tolerate it, or at least I won't like just be
Hmm.
quiet. Because before I used to like keep it to myself and then just like
That's what I
just
do. Yeah.
seethe on my own. Like I was like, dude, got to the point where sometimes I wouldn't even fall asleep because of how angry I am.
Okay.
Like I just wouldn't
Yeah.
fall asleep because of I'm kept up. I'm just wired of like just plotting their death in my head. And meanwhile, it's just like all it would have took was just send a stupid text, be like, "Hey
Yeah.
man, that thing bothered me. What's up? What's up with that?" And that's all you had to do. And like, and I feel so yeah. So back to your question, back then I used to be much. It's so much easier to defend somebody else. I don't know why. It just you feel like this just something takes over you and you just end up like just hey, don't do that, or hey, don't
Yeah.
like but for some reason sticking up for yourself, I think it's in the vein of like how sometimes one of your friends comes up to you and asks you for like relationship advice, and then you give them really good advice, but
But you
meanwhile
don't listen to
your
it yet. And you
your own life is in shambles and
yeah.
pieces, and
Yeah.
nobody likes you, but meanwhile like you give your friend the perfect like dad sitcom
Yeah.
advice ever. Like there's melody playing in the background, like and you're like fucking rubbing their shoulder on the couch, you know? You're like fucking Bob Saget, just giving them like the most sound advice ever. Meanwhile, you're fucking a
Yeah, like
widow and
that
you're
outside perspective is like easier to like realize
absolutely,
what's going on.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah,
Maybe
man.
like another part of it is like if you're defending someone, then it's like you two. It's like you're a team now, right? Whereas if
Mm.
someone's picking on you, it's like it can feel like maybe you against the world.
That's
You
such
don't
a good
have anybody
point.
on your side.
Such a good point. That's
Yeah.
such a good point, dude. That's very true. That is so true, right? Because if you help somebody,
Yeah.
there's no way this person is gonna be ungrateful and not be on my side. Like, you
Yeah,
know
they
what I
just
mean?
fuck
You ever
off. They
played
run
that?
away. Now you're getting like,
Yeah, like, what the fuck? There's no- But have you ever played Skyrim?
yeah, a little bit, but barely.
So it's like the companion, right? Like the
Yeah,
companion that you have, like when you talk to them, they join you and they stick with you the whole like game. It's like kind of like the same thing when you
yeah,
save somebody, like they're like, all right, we're on your side now. But if
yeah,
it's just you have to hope somebody does the same thing to you, right? But
yeah.
life is unfair, so that's not gonna happen. So that's just how usually it is.
Hmm. Fuck, man. So like, what's like your end goal with comedy? You want to get like a Netflix special? What's like the dream?
Honestly, dude, I think what it is like you know Mark Norman, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. Wait,
So
do I? I don't know. I'm pretty
Mark
dumb.
Norman, New York comic.
I don't know him personally. I know of him.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you know of
I
Mark? I
got
don't
confused.
fucking
I was like, is this one of the comics like locally, or is it like a famous
no,
guy? And I'm like, no, it's a
not at all.
famous guy. I know the name. Yeah.
Well, he I think of him as like kind of like a C-list celebrity. Like he's
Hmm.
not an extremely famous comic, Like he's not like a tier A. Like he's not like a Louis C.K. or Chris Rock
Right, right.
or anything.
Yeah,
And I
you're cutting out.
don't believe that he's a Doug Stanhope.
Fuck, I'm gonna pause the
I
recording for a
think.
second.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, you're back. Okay,
Can
cool.
you hear me?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so
He's not
he's
Doug
kind of.
Stanhope. That's the
Oh
last
yeah,
thing
so
I.
he's kind of like a tier below that.
Mhm.
But what it is that he every weekend he has a gig in a club in the country, and it's Friday and Saturday. Maybe two shows Friday, two shows Saturday, whatever. The regular weekend stuff. But they're all sold out. But they're comedy clubs,
Mhm.
and so he has a following like that, right? I think to me, I would be happy. I would be extremely happy and satisfied with just having that, even though that's it's a big deal. But I
Mhm.
like anything. Obviously, I would love for things to get better continuously. But I think as a comedian, if I'm able to achieve that, where every weekend is booked and like shows are sold out at least semi constantly, I think
Mhm.
I would be happy with that because on the other side, like comedy is my number one thing, but I also like want to make films and I want to make stuff like I write
Oh,
and
dope.
direct stuff. I'm actually like gonna be. I wrote something and I'm gonna be directing it soon. I think in Niagara, around your area, with Michael Moses and Joe Patello.
Yo, you need any
So
extras or anything? I'm down, bro.
yeah, dude, I think man, I mean like I think this is gonna be like the technically hardest thing I've ever directed. So I think I'm definitely gonna need as much help as I can get. But the thing is like um yeah, it's hard to like have people that are just as invested in your idea as you are. You know what I mean? Like if
Oh,
you have a
for
project
sure,
on
yeah.
your own, right? Like no, but also
Especially if
the
you're
thing,
trying to like, you're not paying anybody. You know what I mean? You're just having. As a comedian, it's
yeah,
like we have so many friends that are willing to do it for free and like want to be a
yeah,
part of stuff like that.
yeah,
But yeah, I know
yeah.
what you
But also at the same time, the way I think about it, and just this might be like my corny positive ass is talking, but I feel like nobody should be invested in your idea as much as you, anyways.
mean. Yeah, yeah, for
But
sure.
you just hope that you find people that kind of give a shit enough to like make sure they kind of help you get your vision done.
On the other side, it hates when they're like, it sucks when they're like so invested they want to like take over and be like part of it and like
Oh, dude,
change your
I
ideas
fucking,
and shit. And it's like,
I
this is
fucking,
my idea. Like, why? What are
dude,
you
I
doing?
I karate chop them out of the way. I'm just like fucking punching them out. I don't care. If they get too much, I have no problems telling them to their face, you need to calm down right now. Like you really need to calm down right now. I appreciate it, but like
Yeah.
just chill for a second. Um, but yeah, no, so like yeah, so yeah, sorry, back to your thing. So like that's with comedy, and it's always going to be the number one thing. But I would love to be able to like make enough money off of like comedy to be able to like make short films and like even maybe web series on YouTube or whatever,
Mhm.
and to have enough of a following to like have people either buy it off my website or or watch it on YouTube enough so I can make a bit of money off of it, and
Mhm.
just to be able to have the freedom to make stuff like that continuously because I love the idea of being a comedian and also directing things like Woody Allen and like Louis C.K. Like those are like the kind of idols that I like. Um, so I think that's like kind of like shape of career that I want really is to have that kind of thing.
Yeah, that'd be fucking dope, man. And
Yeah.
like, do you want your like with the like, would you rather your comedy career become successful or like the podcasting? Like, if one could blow up, which one would you pick?
Say it again.
If you could like your comedy become successful or your podcast, like one
Oh,
blows up.
comedy 100%. Comedy
For me, I would
100%.
pick the podcast because then I feel like the
Yeah.
comedy, if you're like big on the internet or whatever, the comedy could be like a byproduct of that, but it might not work the other way around. I don't know, like,
Yeah.
or it might work
Um,
better the other way around. Maybe.
I yeah, I think like well, like you said, you want the podcast to blow up so that the comedy then it
Right.
goes to the comedy, right? So if you cut the middleman out and just go to the comedy,
Yeah,
then
yeah, that's a
right?
good point.
Then-
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But
But you,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry.
No, I don't even know what I was gonna say exactly.
But I think that I think that like if we talk like reality, I
Mhm.
think if one happens, the other will too, right? Like
Right.
in a
Every
sense,
comedian has a podcast, pretty much.
every like famous comic has, or known comic, their podcast is doing well, right? So
Yeah, true.
it's very hard to separate the two, I think. But I think I definitely prioritize my comedy more than the podcast for sure. That's
Right.
really what I care about. That's what I care about more than anything, even than more than making films or whatever. As much as I love doing that, but like
Mhm.
number one is definitely comedy for sure, 100%.
Do you
That's I
think
would
you'll
rather
ever
be
get
known.
sick of it?
Be known No, man. No, I mean, like, here's the thing. I think getting sick of comedy is part of like living with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like a spouse that you can't divorce. So you're just never always not every day is going to be great, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like there are some days where like I love comedy, it's the best beautiful thing in the world, and there are other times like I can't even fucking look at it. I don't want to look at its face. Your breath stinks. It's just like so bad. In that, it's kind of like that's the
You
thing with
kind of
comedy.
need that almost. Like sometimes when I bomb, I don't hate it. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it was like it's good to like experience, and you're like like it's not as bad as I thought. I can live through that if that happens again.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
100% the mentality, dude. My thing is like the one thing that I've gone better at comedy. The one thing that I've like one of the things that I've gone better at comedy is knowing how to bomb.
Mhm.
Like I'm getting better at bombing, which is very weird to say, but I think it's a very important thing to have as well. Is
It
learn
is.
knowing.
And like it'll make you better at like recovering, right? Like I've seen lots of comics, and I'm sure I've done it too, where it's like you start to bomb and then it's like you snowball, right? It's like you're getting in your own head, people aren't laughing, then maybe you start rushing through your jokes, you're not saying them as good as you would if you were killing.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. It's a slippery slope, and you just kind of like if you don't catch yourself, you just like it's like quicksand. Like you have
Hmm.
to stop struggling, just stand still, just calm, and then you'll recover. But if you go like I'm bombing, and then you're gonna drown. You're gonna drown yourself.
Yeah.
So you just have to like calm down, relax, you know, get back into the driver's seat, and then just keep go. Let's go
Hmm.
back to work. But it's bombing you I just I felt like I feel like I'm getting better at it, so it's it's something that you just have to like deal with.
Hmm.
And like you said, when I bomb, I'm like, that sucked, but I need to know what I did wrong and try not to do that again,
Hmm.
instead of just being like, I fucking hate myself, why my fucking life sucks, I'm gonna kill
Yeah.
myself. That's not good.
Yeah, and I feel like if the audience is quiet and they're listening, you can't blame them. If they're like talking and all that shit, I fucking hate that. Like, what I
Oh,
mean? Then you can blame the
yeah,
audience. If they're not even listening, then it might not necessarily be your fault. I mean, like there obviously is ways in like comics that can like make those
yeah,
people shut the fuck up.
yeah,
I don't know. Like, do
yeah.
you have any strategies for like getting people to stop talking? You just tell them to shut the fuck
I
up.
there's been times where I try like try to like make fun of them off the top maybe,
Hmm.
and that kind of like works a lot of the times. But there are some times where I do the unfunny way, which is really reprimand them, like look at them and be like, you're talking and this is very disruptive. And I'm trying to tell jokes and make you guys laugh, but what you're doing right now is limiting everybody's enjoyment, and it's not good, and I would love for you to be quiet. Like I say it seriously like that
Sometimes
in the
that's what
most.
needs to happen. Like I've seen people
Oh
say stuff like that and it gets a fucking applause break because the whole audience is sick of those people talking or in the show for everyone, right?
well, that's the number one rule, first of all. If you
Hmm.
want to stop people from talking, you have to make sure that the audience is on your side. And
Right.
one of the things is you have to let the culprit y- repeat their offense if like one or two, three times. You can't just yell at them from the first time. You have to let them first, second, give them, and then the third time, that's when you go in. But a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
times, but a lot of times, like you said, if I say it in a very serious, unfunny way, like I'm a dad that's reprimanding a kid,
Yeah.
people applaud. But then if you look at the face of the person, they're sad the whole show. They're
Yeah, they're
just
like
sad.
ashamed. They're like, even if your
They're
jokes are
embarrassed.
funny after that, they're not
They're
laughing at
embarrassed.
anything else you say.
You're just sad, and you're like, "What did I do? I'm a horrible person." But that's good. That's good. I don't want you to laugh anyways. I just want you to be quiet.
Yeah.
Everybody else is laughing. But they're just sad, and then you like their spouse or their date is like, "Are you okay?" And they're just like, "He's like, yeah, yeah, just drink it, whatever." Oh,
Yeah.
it's my favorite, dude. It's my favorite, man. I love it so much.
hmm
I
do you
love.
do you have like any of your sets online or anything like that? You got a YouTube channel?
I do have a YouTube channel, but like, I'm trying to like change the name of it right now. But I think like all the clips are like all the the clips that I think are funny at least or good enough are they're all on my Instagram. Like I feel like I like Instagram much better. I don't know why. Instagram is more nicer and it's fun. I
Yeah,
like
it
Instagram.
seems more people like Instagram now, but I'm just so stuck on like Facebook and YouTube. That's what I've been using most of my life,
Well, I
but
think
I'm like an old
YouTube is
man.
great. I think YouTube is it's good and it's very important to grow that because I think that like all the big time stuff should be on YouTube. But I think as like a first step into getting to social media, I think Instagram is really cool. For some
hmm
reason, just Instagram is more positive and just it's just nicer, man. It's like less littered with trash. Like Facebook is just such a cesspool, man. I fucking hate Facebook so much. It's such a
Yeah, there's like
cesspool.
no opinions on Instagram, right? It's all just pictures and
Just
videos and
tits,
stuff.
asses. It's a great time.
No
It's like you're on
politics.
vacation.
Yeah.
It's like you're on vacation always. It's so awesome. Just oh, there's a tit. There's a tit. I love this tit so much. Such a great tit. I love it. Like there's no sexism, nothing. It's just like I please be more naked. I would love.
That's
I
not
support you.
sexism. You didn't say if it was a man tit or woman tit. Like, you know,
Oh yeah, I,
like,
mean,
it could
I
be
know that's
any
what I
tit.
said. There's no. I said that's what I said. There's
Oh,
no
there is no
sexism.
sexism. Okay.
Right. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll squeeze a man's tit. I'll even lick his arm tit if I need to. I don't know. I don't care.
Oh fuck, that's hilarious, man. Like like this Netflix shit that they're like taking pitches from Canadians. Are you gonna
Mhm.
pitch it? Are you gonna pitch Netflix anything?
Well, I mean, the deadline is I think it was like August 5th.
Oh, it
But
already
I
happened. Shit, I should
yeah
stop asking that question.
yeah, but I did submit. Yeah,
Oh,
I did
sick.
submit for sure. Yeah, 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 man.
You
I'm
want to
hoping.
talk about it, or is it like secret?
Well, the idea itself.
Yeah.
No, no. Let's leave it. Let's leave it.
All
If they don't
right.
take it, but I do
You don't
have.
want someone else to steal it, right?
Well, I mean, here's the thing about stealing. I'm never really that upset about people stealing ideas. Like, I mean, I don't think it's a good thing, and it's horrible, obviously. But I don't get as worked up about it as much as a lot of people do. Because funny that you bring the Netflix stuff. A lot of comics are like, "Oh, I can't wait for Netflix, to steal my idea and not hire me."
hmm
And I kind of have an issue with that, like, because a lot of artists like really whine about it so much. And as much as stealing is bad and shouldn't happen, but it's part of like the career that we're in. And I feel like as a creative person, if you only have that idea and can't come up with another one, then you probably shouldn't be doing this. Like you should always constantly be.
I don't know about that argument though. Like it's like that. Then you like, are you okay with people stealing jokes? And then it's like, if you're a comedian,
I've had people.
you should be able to come up with new jokes. And then you're
I've
just like a
had people.
joke factory for someone else that constantly steals
No,
your
no,
shit.
no, no. I've had people. I've had people steal my jokes
And
before.
it pisses you off, probably,
It
right?
pisses me off, obviously. But you know what I say to myself? I'm like, I've already outgrown that joke, anyways. I don't. They can use it. I
Mhm.
barely use it myself, anyways. I've got better jokes to write. I'm not. Again, what I'm saying. What I'm saying is not necessarily a thing to say. Don't be ever upset about people stealing your stuff.
Mhm.
It's bad. It's not okay, and you should be upset. But there's also a next step, which is learning how to move on from it
Right,
and
right.
survive, and that is to tell yourself, I'm a creative person. This idea probably was good, but I know that my next idea is always going to be better.
Do you think that
So,
that person deserves calling out? Like, say someone steals your joke, do you just let
but
it slide, or do you like,
the thing is
maybe they
about
thought of the same thing?
no, and even if even if you know 100% that they stole it, what's
hmm
your proof? What is your proof?
Yeah,
How do
yeah.
you prove that?
Which
That's
sucks, right? Yeah, yeah. It's a good
it
point.
sucks. It absolutely
Mhm.
sucks, and it's horrible. But how do you prove that? There's no way to do that. There's just no way to do it. So I feel like if you can call them out or talk to them about it, that's you to go ahead, do it. And if something comes out of it, that's great. But I think a lot of the times it's going to be like, well, I thought of it too. You thought of it. I thought of it. I guess we'll just not.
Yeah.
If we're on the same show, one of us doesn't have. What? I'm not going to do
People
that.
do
I'm not.
think of like the same things, right? Like I used to rap, and
Yeah.
I've had Eminem use bars that I've used like years before, but it's like
Yeah.
Eminem didn't steal my bar. He just
Obviously
thought
not.
of
He
the
didn't
same
come to
thing.
Niagara Falls and steal it from you. No.
Yeah, like he didn't watch a YouTube video that has like less than 100 views. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. No. That's very true, right? Like there is such a thing as parallel thinking, and
Mhm.
it's more common than people like to think it is, and these things happen, right?
Mhm.
So that's what I'm saying. You know, as an artist, like let's say even if you had an idea, like for this Netflix thing, right? Let's say that you submitted it and nobody took it, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, fuck it, you know what? I'm gonna make this thing on my own.
Mhm.
And then you go and make it, right? Okay, after you've made that and everybody's seen it, what do you do then? Do you just like, all right, that's the only idea that I have, or
Yeah.
you're anyways gonna come up with a new idea anyways. You
Mhm.
have to, right? So the idea of the stealing the joke thing, the stealing the whatever stuff is it's again like I can't really emphasize this more. It's horrible and bad, but at the same time, you can't just whine about it and just like just make that the thing that holds you back. You have to move on and like trying to find. It's adapting, man. That's what this business is, man. That's if you notice every artist that's successful or has maintained success over years and decades, they find ways to adapt and do things differently and like trying to experiment with stuff. I think that's I think art is a waste of time if you're not brave with it. You have to be brave, I think. You have to take
Mhm.
chances. You're like, oh, that kind of sucked. I wish I didn't do that. All right, and then the next time you try something else. That's kind
I'm
of
gonna
what it
edit
is.
out everything you say after art. It's a waste of time.
A waste of time. Just that. Like just like the sound
Yeah.
bite.
Yeah.
Just repeat it.
What is your Instagram, all that shit? Do all your plugs, and then we'll call it.
All right. All right. Find me on Instagram at it's Gary Busey. I'm on there. Facebook is AJ Bate. We have a podcast like Sab mentioned called In Search of Zen. Me and comedian Jason Allen. You can find us on Instagram, In Search of Zen Podcast. On Facebook, just type In Search of Zen. We're on Spotify, Google Podcast, and iTunes.
I'd love to be on that podcast if you'd have me,
Would
bro.
love to have you
Be
on, man. Of
awesome.
course. Do the Zoom
Hmm.
thing again. Let's do it.
Sick. Yeah, let's do it. And I'll link.
Bring all your angry stories.
Yeah, I got angry stories too. We didn't get into too many, but pardon? I couldn't.
I said hit us up. Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. Thanks, man. Peace out, bro. Appreciate it.
Love you, man. Thank you so much for having me, dude.
Love you too, bro. No problem. See ya.